Hello, my loves, and welcome back to an episode of Embracing Power and Potential. I'm going to get straight into the episode this week because I want to keep it around the 20-minute mark, but I know that we all know that I love to talk, and I could go on forever about this. Definitely something a little different than what I have done in the recent episodes, but I'm talking about relationships and how love isn't enough. And it may, if you're listening, feel a little uncomfortable to hear this, but it's so necessary to talk about, especially in this day and age. I don't know. I feel like relationships and the dating scene can be quite messy. And I'm not saying this for everyone, but there's like this theme and trend around being toxic. And I'm just not here for it. Welcome, listeners, to Embracing Power and Potential, your go-to podcast where we travel through the realms of personal growth, mindset mastery, and fear-conquering strategies to help achieve your greatest desires. I'm your host, Portia, and I'm thrilled to be your guide on this transformative experience. If you're ready to unleash your authentic power and elevate your life, you're in the right place. Join me and our special guests as we embark on conversations that will broaden your horizons and enrich your journey. So, sit back and immerse yourself in these unmatched discussions. It's time to expand your mind and your life. So I want to talk about the truth that love isn't always enough to make a relationship work. And I have found myself saying this a lot to myself in the past recent years through seeing different people, being in long-term relationships, and it really comes down to love just isn't enough. So we're taught that if you love someone, that should be everything. You see it in the movies. You see these fairy tale endings. But in reality, a relationship needs so much more than just feelings. It needs trust, respect, communication, and shared values. But most importantly, two people who are committed to keep showing up for each other through the shitty days. And this doesn't mean putting up with disrespect, but we are all human and we do go through life and we go through different emotions and challenges. And it's choosing that person every time. So we're told that love conquers all. But what if it doesn't? So for an example of my life and my past relationships, I know that I have had partners who genuinely, and I know have loved me, been fully in love with me, and still fucked me over every time. And that's where I have come up with this belief that love isn't enough. And then I have been reading actually a relationship book at the moment, so it really just ties into my life right now. So when it comes down to it, someone can love you with their whole heart and still do you dirty. And that's why I'm making this episode today, because your self-worth and your self-love is so important in these situations to be able to walk away. Because love is just a feeling, and you can love someone still who has hurt you, who is stripped away your self-worth. I know, because I have been in that position before, where the person that I was with did everything in their power to break me down, to feel worthless, so they could have the power and control over me. A relationship requires skills. It's like a job. And I look at it as building a foundation. And one of the main parts of this foundation is boundaries. You have to have strong boundaries in all of your relationships, not even just romantic. Because without boundaries, that's when it can lead to toxicity, because you just let people walk all over you. And that's what we're not here to do anymore. So I hope that out of anything that you get today, it's to create boundaries in your life where people realize that you are in your own power and you love yourself enough to be able to draw the line in the sand. We've all heard those narratives, we've seen it in the movies, we've read them in the stories, that, fairy tale narratives about love and happily ever afters. And if we love each other, it should just be easy. This is because we confuse passion with compatibility. And this is the difference with lust and love. And I'm definitely no love expert, but I'm just speaking from my own experience and from what I have read from relationship coaches. The book that I'm reading, actually, I will pop it in the show notes, but it's called It Begins With You. She's a relationship coach. Just the best book, actually. So eye-opening, and I think it's really inspired me to make this episode today because it gave me a lot to think about. And I know that relationships are pretty well relatable to everyone, if not right now, in some stage of your life. You've either been in a relationship or are planning to, and just to know these little things in your back pocket can help you in tough times when situations come up and you realize that maybe you are seeking validation, or you are, doing things that are giving your power away when you're in a romantic relationship. So what I believe is what's needed within a relationship or a partnership romantically is shared vision and goals for the future. Because if I have these goals and dreams for my life and they don't align with the person that I'm with, there's a contradiction and there will be resistance there. Because either you're sacrificing your needs for them or they will for you. And one of you will end up unhappy. Emotional safety and secure attachment. I have read up a lot about attachment styles, and I know there is, I think, about 4 or 5 different attachment styles. There's avoidant, anxious, secure, and I think there's one more that I can't actually remember. So anxious attachment and avoidant attachment are not as healthy, but secure attachment is basically being secure within yourself to be able to live your life and let your partner live their life and then have your life together. You're not feeling like you've got to be with them every second, and you feel anxious straight away when you're not around them, or you avoid relationships because there may be, experiences that you have had in the past that make it difficult for you to be vulnerable. But what we want in a relationship is secure attachment. Relationships require effort, compromise, and respect. I also believe that one of the biggest ways to show love, and this doesn't even have to be romantically, but in any relationship, is consideration. When you consider another person's needs, when you consider another person's feelings, that is you showing them that you love them. And I'm not saying that you have to, always consider people's needs and put theirs before yours. This is not what I'm saying, but in a healthy way. And alignment in values with money, family, and overall lifestyle. Because if your life doesn't align with the person that you want to be with, like I said, you will sacrifice your needs. You will feel unfulfilled and you will be unhappy. And this will lead to resentment in the relationship. It will lead to low self-worth because you're not living the life that you would ideally be want to living. And I actually have read something, and I loved this reframe of love because I love to talk about, mindset reframes and different ways that you can shift your perspective. And love is the foundation of a relationship. But think of it as building a house. When you build a house, the house needs walls. So the foundation, that's the grounding point. That is the main factor of a relationship. But then to build on that, you need commitment. And for the windows, communication. And a roof to bring it all together is trust. So love is the overall foundation in a relationship, but you also need the commitment, you need the communication, and you need the trust to make it all work. Love definitely makes it worth it, but it doesn't do the work for you. And emotional intelligence is so important, especially these days within relationships. And I find a lot of people lack emotional intelligence. So, emotional intelligence in relationships is the ability to recognize and understand and manage your own emotions, and to recognize and empathize with and respond to your partner's emotions. So it's how you not react, but respond in your relationship to your partner. And this matters because love without emotional intelligence leads to miscommunications, and this can cause arguments and conflict and unmet needs. In relationships, people pleasing is so common, and often that means not speaking up and not saying what you need in a relationship out of fear of rejection, that your partner won't listen to you or won't follow through with actions that they say. So you'd rather say nothing at all. Then you choose to suffer. You choose to be unfulfilled in one of the most main factors in your life. Sometimes people who lack emotional intelligence shut down or lash out, instead of just discussing issues or having a conversation. What having emotional intelligence looks like is pausing before reacting, listening with empathy, like truly listening to what your partner's saying, and expressing your needs clearly without fear or doubt that, you're asking for too much, because that comes down to your self-worth. And your self-worth and your self-love is the most important thing in a relationship, in any relationship, but most importantly, romantic relationships. Because this is where it tends to strip you down of that if you're not aware of who you are as a person. And sometimes it can happen so quickly and unconsciously, and you just get swept up in this whirlwind of, this new partnership or, this person, and they're just like everything and more. And then you realize down the track, you've completely lost yourself. And you look in the mirror and think, who the fuck even am I anymore? Because you've been so consumed and you've let this relationship take over your life and take over everything that you are as a person. You start doing the things that your partner wants to do. You stop doing the things that light you up. You stop having your own hobbies and you're just so focused on whatever your partner's doing, and your life becomes a blend of theirs, and you lose your identity. And this is what's happened to me multiple times now in my life so far on my relationship journeys. So I just want to make this episode also just to put this out there, because maybe someone of you listening are in this situation right now and you have lost your identity within a relationship. And it's so important to get back to yourself and remember who the fuck you are. And remember how amazing you are. And one thing that you can do is practice emotional intelligence. Not one thing you can do, one thing you must do is practice emotional awareness with yourself. Because it's going to be so hard to show up emotionally available for your partner if you can't even do that for yourself first. Because love may bring two people together. That's the sparks that you feel, the passion. But emotional intelligence is what keeps them connected. If you don't have the ability to understand yourself or your partner, to communicate and be able to regulate your emotions, love quickly turns into misunderstandings and frustrations and emotional distance. So emotional intelligence is really what transforms love into a healthy, lasting partnership. And it starts with us. We have to do that inner work first. We can't expect our partners to come in and fix us or show us how to love ourselves or show us how to be in a healthy relationship, especially if you do have a track record of toxic relationships or, being in unhealthy situations. We have the responsibility to build that self-awareness and to build up our self-worth, so we're not chasing that validation from our partners and, hoping that they show us that we're worth enough or making us feel good enough. That's not what we're doing anymore. And if that's something that hits you hard or, feels like, a bit uncomfortable, maybe that's a pattern that you're in and you need to break it. Once you do, you will really feel your power and you won't need anyone else to validate you or tell you that you're worth enough, because you will know that yourself. And that means that whoever you're with, whether they are a bad person or not a bad person, but someone who is on the unhealthier side, you will be able to be aware of that quicker once you've done that inner work, and you put up with less shit because you know what you deserve. I know that's definitely my experience. I don't put up with shit anymore because I've done the inner work and I know exactly what I deserve now. And now that I'm more self-aware and I do love myself and I am secure within who I am as a person, I can naturally bring more compassion and patience into my relationships because I'm not living out of fear or feeling unworthy and trying to chase that all the time. Instead, I am secure within myself and I can recognize patterns very quickly now. So that's where you want to be on your relationship journey, is being able to be self-aware. So just remember, if there is anything that you take away from this, self-love and your self-worth is so important. And that means doing that inner work, mirror work, telling yourself you love yourself, putting yourself on a pedestal, stopping comparison against other people's exes or whoever, because you are good enough. And not even good enough, you are fucking amazing. So you need to believe that. And when you do, you will attract the right people for you. Because when you are in low self-worth, you do attract lower vibrational people. People that will feed off your vulnerability. People that will take advantage of you, and you will let them. Because you don't feel worthy enough to hold your own power. You will bow down to anyone that gives you an inch of affection. Because this is how I used to be. And if you are like that, I send you so much love. And I teach a lot of my coaching about self-love. So if you are feeling some type of way or this episode has really hit today, definitely reach out to me in the DMs, because I'd love to just, even have a conversation with you and get you on your own self-love journey, because that is the most important thing of my life so far, has been building up my own self-worth and realizing my power and who I am. Because that's one thing that no one can take away from you in any relationship. So, circling back to love is not enough. It is the spark, but it takes more than love to keep that fire burning. Ever feel like you're meant for more, but something keeps holding you back? Maybe you've read the books, set the goals, but deep down, doubt still creeps in. It's not just about working harder, it's about rewriting your mindset for success. I help ambitious young people break past limiting beliefs, step into their power, and create the life they know they are meant for. If you're ready to stop playing small and start living big, book in your free discovery call with me today. My website will be linked in the show notes, or you can find me in my Instagram bio. Embracing Power and Potential Coaching Services. A vision to empower 10,000 young people to create a life they truly desire. Just to end, I'm going to give you a couple of journal prompts that you can do in your own time, even if you just want to write them in your notes now and you can come back to them later. These are just a few things that can bring that self-awareness to the surface. Number 1, do I feel safe, respected, and heard in my relationship? Number 2, are our values and visions aligned? And the last one, is love here, but the foundation's missing? So, I send you so much love today. I hope this episode resonated in some way. And I can't wait to hear from you guys in the DMs. And also, if you could rate this podcast 5 stars, comment, like, share it to your Instagram stories, or even just to your friends and family through messages. But it is always appreciated and it just keeps growing our community. Love you all so much. Hope you all have the best week, and I will speak to you soon. Bye.